Hi there, and welcome to Twist Out Cancer's podcast featuring Brushes with Cancer Spotlights. My name is August Spree. My pronouns are she, her, and today we are talking with Robert Brams, who goes by Bob, and artist Jean Schlesinger, who are all in Maryland. Bob and Jean are matched in the current fall 2025 Brushes with Cancer program, which will have an art exhibition in Philadelphia in November. We will talk about their involvement with Twist Out Cancer, how they became participants in the program, how their connection has unfolded, and what they will carry with them from their experience together. And we are also being joined by Bob's wife, Kim, who has been his caregiver through his entire experience. So welcome, Bob, Kim, and Jean. Thank you for being here.
Thanks very much,
Thank
August.
you. Yeah, of course. So you were matched, Bob and Jean, about 4 months ago when the program started. And I know we still have a couple of months to go, but I'm excited to talk about where things are at right now. And Bob, I want to start with you. Can you start by letting us know how you identify within the cancer community? I know some people prefer survivor or thriver, or what it is that you like to identify as, and then share a little bit about your diagnosis.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I identify myself as a guy with brain cancer. I was taken by surprise when I learned that I had it. And in fact, I practiced law for a long time, and my life is going perfectly. I was a partner in an international law firm in Washington, D.C. And one day I was driving to my doctor, actually, and to get a physical before a vacation. And the car hit me from behind, and I felt sort of tingling and numbness in my neck and in my fingers. So I went and got an MRI, and in the MRI, the doctor said, "Are you aware you have a spot in your brain, Mr. Brahms?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "You have a 6 centimeter mass on your brain." And so I was like, "What?" So I called Kim at home, and we were having a party that night, a Hanukkah party that night. And I said, "Kim, you don't have to come down," but they identified something on my MRI. So Kim said, "Of course I'm coming down." She left her own party to come down to see me.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah. The next thing I know, on the operating table for brain cancer at Hopkins,
Right away.
and right away.
Wow.
The crazy thing is, I get physicals all my life, and they do a million blood tests. There's nothing that determines that, in fact, you have brain cancer. And 10 million results, but nothing says, by the way, you might want to check the brain. Going through the surgery, 8 hours of surgery, um, and then I'm in recovering for about 4 hours, and like uh, during that time frame, and then all of a sudden I started reaching to the back of my head, and that was it. I was like off the planet for like months. Kim takes over then. Anything I'd be saying right now would be secondhand. So Kim knows best.
I was going to say, yeah, yes, of course. Kim, did you want to weigh in on what happened after that?
Sure. Basically, he was in recovery. He was doing great. And after he reached back and said, ow, I kept saying to the nurse, something's not right. Something's not right. And he kept assuring me that, oh, this is normal behavior after brain surgery. And finally, I basically said, look, I'm sort of in the field, a clinical social worker, um, psychotherapist. I know the brain. This is not right. Something's not right. And you've got to get somebody down here or I'm going to start screaming and wake up this entire hospital. And sure enough, then he went out and brought somebody in, and then all the bells and alarms went off. Basically, Bob was having a cerebral hemorrhage. And he was going to lose his airway, and they basically intubated him, and he had a grand mal seizure, and he was put on life support, and he was given a less than 1% chance of living. And so called the family, but he was there, came in, and it was just a waiting game. He was the sickest person on the neurointensive care unit at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Thank God we were in the neurointensive care unit because they were just amazing. And when we just basically had to wait to see what was going to happen. And our surgeon said, if I have to, I'll take him back into surgery to try and stop the bleed, but he won't make it. And so we just sat there and hoped and hoped and hoped. And say he was about on life support for about a week. And it was very dire. I mean, they did not expect him to survive. Here he is, but he had to learn to do everything all over again. Walk, talk, think. I mean, basically everything.
Yeah. And how long was that recovery?
We were at
Years.
Hopkins for about a month, and then we were down at National Rehab for about a month, and then basically years of therapy.
Yeah. Wow. What
I ended up
what a
having
journey.
4 speech therapists.
Sorry?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I
It
ended
was
up having
crazy.
like 4 speech therapists,
Mm.
and it was kind of hard work.
Yeah.
So, by the way, if I sound choppy, it's because of that. I have to work in my speech.
I mean,
Kind of annoying.
a lot of people think when you leave the hospital, then you can just kind of get back to, you know, but that recovery process is so much longer than just the time you spend in the hospital. So, what an incredible journey. Bob, do you feel like your diagnosis and this experience changed your perspective on life?
Definitely. I mean, I really, given the 1% chance of of living, I was like, I got to think about it. And I've already lived past my prognosis. Like, get kind of worried about that. But then to think about the family, are they financially secure? I have a son and a daughter. They're both University of Maryland graduates, but I had to think about them and will they be okay in life? It was almost like I had to get my affairs in order, for lack of a better term. Uh, and I just started thinking more and more about the way I need to lead my life. Like, I didn't want to have stress in my life anymore. I had lots of stress in my life for 25 years. And now I wanted to just live life in a more calm and loving way, and, spend more with Kim, kids, all that. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what I'm doing now. And if something's stressful, get away from it, move on. And that's just the way I look at it. I just want to stay calm and peaceful. And if I don't like what's being said downstairs, I'm gonna leave and go upstairs. Kim likes movies with guns and all. I couldn't see blood at all.
Yeah.
And I'd go upstairs and watch a comedy show. And that just made me happier. You know how you feel when you feel happy, and you know how you feel when you have anxiety. It doesn't feel good in the gut. And so, I think there's a big connection between, gut health and and brain health. If your gut's feeling good, your brain feels good. And it's just nice to sort of think clearly. And that's kind of the way it was.
I mean, that makes so much sense. I can say, like, in all of the conversations, and not all, many of the conversations that I have with people who have been affected by cancer in some way, there are two threads that I'm noticing that are so similar. One you've mentioned, which Kim, what that was being your own advocate and really causing, and it's not anything negative about medical staff necessarily. It's just that we need to be our own advocates a lot of the time and just kind of cause everyone to and say, hey, wait a second, like, listen to me right now. I'm trying to tell you this is not quite right. And the second piece, what you said, Bob, is that it does change your perspective in the way of you really want to be focused on enjoying life. And I hear that so often, and that's really beautiful, I think.
Yeah, in terms of getting opinions, Joe, only halfway that you need to get 5 opinions throughout the top and the bottom, take an average of the middle 3, and you'll get somewhere near the right answer.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your brushes with cancer experience. I know this is not your first time involved in this program, and let's cut over to Jean. Jean, you found out about us from Bob directly, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so I know you're already an accomplished artist and you already knew Bob's story, but what made you decide to do this program?
Well, it's very hard to say no to Bob.
That's a good reason.
Nor would I want to. So I was really honored to be asked. And I've had a chance to sort of explore art a little bit with Bob beyond this or before this, however you want to look at it. But Bob's father was actually a wonderful artist. And Bob had shared some of his dad's work with me a while back.
My father was an MD, but he liked to paint when he retired.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started painting later in my life, probably about 8 years ago. And at some point, I brought my paints and my brushes over to Kim and Bob's house, and we sat down at, the table, and we did some painting. And I just think creativity is something that brings most people a lot of joy and peace. So it's really been a pleasure to sort of be a part of this process and spend a little more focused time talking with Bob about his meditation practice and how important that is to him. And that has served as a basis for the painting that I'm working on.
So you already had interacted in an art capacity with Bob then?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So after you were both matched, I know since you already had a connection, did you find it to be an easy transition to kind of focus on the project for a little bit? Or was it a little difficult to kind of step into the program because you were already pretty familiar with each other?
Bob, you want to speak to it?
I don't think we had any difficulty. We talked about scenes from like our bay place on the deck. It looks straight out on the Chesapeake Bay. And that's kind of what brings me some peace. I'm looking over at the bay right now. Kind of brings me, there's something about that view that kind of brings me peace. So I think Jean's picture will have something to do with the way that looks. And so that's kind of the way I think that. And those pictures are ones that I think about when I meditate. And it's funny, I meditate, to me, it's like deep breathing. And the way I sort of see things, I still have, in 2025, I have still things in my head, things in my spots on my brain. And I have a top medical team from Hopkins, UCSF, and NIH, and they can't figure out whether it's tumor or radiation damage. Now I'm cutting my head open for a third time. So I'm going to try a liquid biopsy, which was, I guess, invented by the new chief of neurosurgery at Hopkins. We'll see what that does. So that's the next medical game I'll be playing. But I've been going for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Recently I had my 10-year anniversary.
Wow. So you're still
Yes,
kind
I
of in
think
the midst of the story.
Yeah. I'll do MRIs for life.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I'm definitely, you know,
and being an observer, I think the integration and the transition for art for Jean and Bob is something that's very easy and exciting because they're always talking about art. Jean is Jean is always doing art, and it's wonderful. So the synergy
Yeah,
together.
I love that. Jean, was there anything that came up for you that was unexpected during this process while you were kind of collaborating with Bob and Kim?
No, I can't say anything unexpected. I think that it did give us an opportunity to spend more time talking about, how Bob looks at all of this. And it's good to have that opportunity. And I think that the whole concept of this program is like deeply meaningful when people connect. And the idea, primary idea of people who are complete strangers connecting is just incredible. But it's been a real pleasure to participate in this, even having known Bob and Kim. And I really probably knew Kim more than I knew Bob. But it really has been, a pleasure and a gift to be able to participate in this. So
I spent a lot of time in the Middle East, like 35 trips to Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai on major projects. I was like 7 hours apart. So at 2 a.m, I started getting all the emails in from the United States. It's a driving force, and I wanted to kind of escape that and do the opposite of that to feel better about the direction of my life. It's a lot about how I feel about things and how I want things to proceed. And I think I'm sort of heading in that direction. You just know what makes you feel better.
I was going to say,
And
so you're
music,
saying that you switched from being in this sort of like high pressure performance life to really slowing down and paying attention to the beauty?
exactly, big time. But, I like music too. The former head of NIH is big into music and the healing power of music. So art and music, we can both. I did a 35-hour playlist on Spotify. I have things covered well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand for sure. I was going to check in with you, Kim, and just say, is there anything unexpected that's come up for you during this process?
During his whole cancer journey.
Well, during the process of sharing that again with Jean, I just know that as a caregiver and as someone who's observing someone you love going through it, it's a whole different experience for you and very, very difficult. And so I
Yeah,
didn't know if anything, kind of revisiting for the purpose of this program had stirred up anything for you that you felt important to share.
I think for any caregiver and having such a Bob is known as a catastrophic loss, watching that, it's like PTSD.
Kim wouldn't even let people come in and see me. I mean, I look very troubled,
Yeah.
to say the least.
So it's hard to watch, and you're just in, a constant state of hypervigilance, and worry. And, you know, it's hard to sometimes just sit down and breathe. I mean, he had no idea what was going on. It was everybody around watching, so it's stressful.
Now, Jean, is there any of Kim's perspective included in the piece? I know you just mentioned that you know Kim a little bit better than you know Bob. And even though the match is definitely between you and Bob, just curious.
Not at this moment, but that's an interesting question. No, I would say this really is, Bob has shared a lot of photos in the course of this Twist Out Cancer engagement experience that resonate with him. And we've really been focused on those and, something that is more representational art. And I'm happy to share it where we are. It's not quite done.
Yeah, I was going to
But
say.
happy to share it if you'd like. Yeah, that just gets to that sort of peace and that peace and serenity that I think Bob is talking about.
Mm.
That's really what it's about.
So that definitely answers. I was just going to say, what about Bob's story stuck out to you the most? It sounds like you just answered that. And I don't want to give anything away before the big reveal, but of course, happy to open it up for you to share what you'd like to about the piece itself.
Well, it is, as Bob said, the Chesapeake Bay and looking out on the water and where, the land and the water, I think, come together. And the light is beautiful and subtle. And I just think it's a gorgeous setting. And I hope I can capture it sufficiently. I think it's on the way to being captured. So
Yeah.
that's it. And Bob actually has seen it, and Kim has seen it, I think, also in its current stage, maybe one step before. But
If it's the piece that I'm thinking about, the color and sort of the red, right? Or
it's not that one.
it's not that. Okay, never mind. Because I have to say, then they could integrate my feeling, red, bolt, craziness,
Yeah.
striking.
And it's interesting because Kim has also seen many of these photos, but Kim, you really related to that photo.
Yeah, totally.
The red one.
Right.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
it's more blues and greens. So August, do you want to see it now or no?
I would love to. I would love to if you're okay showing it. And it sounds like, Kim, we're going to have to then do like part 2 and pair you
We'll
with
have to
a
do another
artist. Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Okay. Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
That's a borderline.
I don't know if we have it all, but that's you have the idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right.
I can't wait to see it in person. It's like Christmas Day for me when we get to unwrap all the art before we hang it for the exhibition. Will both of you be there in November?
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote too.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to see all the art.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
will be. It's always a really inspiring time. So I'm very excited to see you all in person. And then I think as we get towards the end of our chat here, I wanted to ask a couple more things. One, for each of you, what do you think you'll be taking from this experience? Like, what will be maybe your biggest takeaway from this experience? And then you go ahead and answer that first.
Me,
Yeah, whoever'd like to go first.
I'll take away the fact that I'm seeing art and people that are collectively interested in art and why it's valuable for them in terms of being cancer patient. And that's primarily, it's nice to meet new people. And I'll just sort of continue in that vein and just enjoy the people and the artwork and have the vehicle for further meditation.
And then Kim, what do you think your biggest takeaway will be from this program and this experience that Jean and Bob have been having?
It's just wonderful to watch the connection between the artist and the cancer patient and to, find a vision or create something together. So I didn't go to the last one, so I really don't know what to expect, but I just heard it was just a wonderful event and to see all the different types of artwork and people, what has come out of it. It's
Yeah.
really exciting to see. So there's no takeaway. There's more anticipation,
Got it. Love that.
excitement to see. Yeah.
And then Jean, what about you?
So I think that it's just been a different experience, around art. I guess I've never thought of art as sort of creating a doorway to, a different level of engagement, like at a deeply personal level. A lot of times people come and see your art, but they may know you, they may not know you. They kind of talk a little bit about it and share ideas that they think of, but this just takes it to a whole nother level. And I've never really had, I think, that experience. So, yeah.
I love that. And then I have heard from other artists too that often they're used to either creating art from their own point of view, obviously, and their own sort of experiences, or encouraging others. If you lead workshops or anything like that, you're sort of encouraging the people in your workshop to make art based on their own interpretations or their own experiences. And this is a little different because you're sort of taking someone else's story and creating from there. And so it kind of shows up in everyone's work a little differently. And that's always interesting to see. So I'll be interested to know what your perspective is as an artist as you see the other artists' work as well.
Or two.
Yeah. I'm so happy that we got to chat today. And I want to kind of open it up and say, is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know before we wrap up? It has been such a pleasure chatting with all of you. And I just want to open it up and ask if there's anything else you'd like our listeners to know.
Okay. So I'm a person who kind of likes functional medicine, both Eastern and Western medicine. And typically I find that the Western medicine guys don't really know much about Eastern medicine, and I think it's important. And if you ask a Western medicine guy about Eastern medicine, I haven't seen any clinical studies. So I'd like that and like to follow that direction. I need to be following it more, actually. But I also like the idea of artificial intelligence, what I think that can do, and that's already being used by a lot of cancer-focused individuals, including at Hopkins and UCSF. And I think having 1,000 minds on the problem that can digest all the data can be very helpful. So I'm looking forward to how that evolves. I need to live longer to get the benefit of these various techniques like AI.
That is very interesting. And yes, you do. You need to stick around.
Exactly. Thank you.
Jean or Kim, did you have anything to add?
Not really. Very appreciative of this experience. So thank you for inviting me here to share a little bit about our journey. And I'm looking forward to November.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing.
That's it.
I just want to thank you and thank Bob and Kim for inviting me to be part of this experience. And very excited to come and be part of the show and meet the other inspirations and the other artists. I think there's just so much that comes from using this creative opportunity to explore what's really deeply personal.
I love that. Well, I want to
Yes.
say thank you to
Thanks.
each of you. Yes, thank you, Bob, for telling Jean and, kind of coming into this program ready to do this work. And Kim, thank you for being open and joining in and being vulnerable about your experience as well. I'm really excited to meet all of you. I want to also say to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Twist Out Cancer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Twist Out Cancer podcast, which delves into the emotional journeys of those touched by cancer, offering a platform for survivors, caregivers, previvors, and loved ones to share their experiences. Through intimate conversations, this podcast explores the power of creativity and connection in navigating the challenges of cancer. Guests will discuss the transformative impact of Twist Out Cancer's unique programs and highlight the resilience of the human spirit. We're so happy you're here. Let's get into it.